Well, that concludes our agenda for today. We got done a little early due to the graciousness of Lucinda and Garrett. So I think that's nice. For those of you who are sticking around, it's nice that LUT arranged a little thing afterwards. But if you're unable to, I just want to tell you what a great pleasure it has been to work with all of you. I can truly say it's one of the great things I've been able to do in my lifetime. If you go back about 36 years, none of you were sitting here, and I wouldn't have been looking at you. We wouldn't have had the technology, but we certainly go back, and I can go mayors back on every one of your cities, worked effectively with each and every one of you on projects over the years. So it's been my great honor and pleasure, and I would simply sine die by saying thank you for every memory. Thank you for being such a great group to work with, and hopefully stick around for a couple of minutes if you can. If not, I haven't been committed to any graveyard yet, so I'll be around for a bit, so at least at the county. So thank you all. I appreciate it. We're adjourned.
Okay.
All right. And yeah, so if you're able to stick around with us, we'll just be staying right on this channel, and maybe just give a few minutes for folks that need to drop out, if any. And then we'll get started.
This is going to be a roast, right? That's what I heard. That's what my prepared remarks are for.
I think I can say we did not script this, and so.
Oh, right.
So if that happens to be where the new chair wants to go, sure. Yeah, so I do want to, maybe I'll just go ahead and kick things off. Again, we haven't really scripted this, and so it's everybody's opportunity to try to embarrass Commissioner Rogers, but I did want to just kind of echo my thanks, certainly from the staff perspective, having worked with Commissioner Rogers now for about 13 years here at the county, and just in the last couple of years here, more specifically on the WCCC. I've very much appreciated working with him and his guidance and leadership, not just here in the county, but obviously at the regional level and transportation issues. And I was just thinking a little bit, I know Commissioner Rogers has been in the, I don't know, maybe Commissioner, if you remember, have you been the chair your entire time on the committee, or almost the entire time? So yeah, so about 35 years or so at this point, I think.
Almost 36 probably.
Yep. So you've been around for the formation of all of the MSTIP programs up to this point, and I was thinking back about some other things that are pretty foundational to how we in the county conduct our transportation business these days. So we had the traffic impact fee, which initially started off as a county fee back in, I believe it was 1986, around the time of the first MSTIP levy. And then that became a countywide effort, working through obviously this group in 1990. And then in 2008, this group voted to supersede that with the transportation development tax, which is recouping significantly more of the proportional share of the need for transportation improvements that are generated from development. And so just a lot of really, really important work, and the commissioner could probably help me out with, there may be others too that are certainly noteworthy, but I think things that we tend to take for granted today, those were pretty big moves by this group, and certainly done with the leadership and guidance of Commissioner Rogers, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, I don't know if you can share your screen here. We were getting many of you to sign a poster for Commissioner Rogers, and so here's a photo of it. We'll obviously present it to him sometime soon, but we certainly appreciate everyone taking the opportunity to sign that, and we'll certainly make sure to get that to Commissioner Rogers at our next available opportunity. And we intentionally are probably keeping it a little bit small so you can't really read all the details, because, you know, it might have been a few roast comments. I don't know. And so thank you, Michael. And so with that, I don't know, Commissioner, did you want to say a few things to get going before we open it up?
Well, that's kind, and thank you for that poster. That's a wonderful wonderful tribute. I appreciate it. I was going to write some very steering comments that you all could plagiarize at some meeting in the future, but I said, that's not probably what you want to hear. So I thought I'd simply say, it's been 36 years. It's just short of that of service. I want to take you back and just talk a little bit about what I experienced when I came onto this group. It was in the mid 80s. What had happened is that the cities and the county, like every other city and county in the state of Oregon, and I find her across the country, were in deep battle. You didn't like us much. And I was a mayor in Tualatin, and frankly, I was put up for this position because they didn't like the county at all for many reasons. And I had my election campaign was a mayor of Sherwood, who married Bias. Keith may remember that name. She passed away several years ago. Tom Bryan, probably don't know him, but he was chairing it. And then the mayor of King City, and they said, we need somebody who is, and her name was Jean Young. We need to have somebody who's going to go over and represent cities. And so what do you say after 36 years when you've, each one of your cities, whether it be Tigard or whether, I'm just looking at, 12, and of course I know those back to when I was there, or Hillsborough, a lot of these people are gone, but they were titans. I mean, they really were great people. I was appointed by Bonnie Hayes. Some of you may have known Bonnie. She was a terrific individual. And she appointed me for a specific purpose, and that was that because of these battles, the county went through a vision statement that we did. We're going to do an update, and I hope it has a couple of the elements that I think were important. And that was that one, that the cities are the highest and best provider of urban services. We said that. And that's still there today. We also said that any money that the county receives would be spread equitably from all citizens, across all citizens of the county, rural, urban, and incorporated in cities. That was quite a difference because in those days, all of the money that the county had, which really was coming from cities as well, was going into the rural area and the unincorporated area. So we said those things, and we then said, how do we effectuate that and say that we're serious? And Bonnie appointed me and said, Roy, yeah, I got some tough duty for you. You're going to go into this WCCC, and you're going to have to build relationships. You're going to have to make good on our promises. So I can tell you with all sincerity, it was hard work at first. People were distrustful. It was not an easy job. But slowly but surely, we said what we moralized, what I call either a covenant with you or a treaty with you, that we would respect that we were partners. And I've always approached that, and I know people disagree with that, but I've always approached it. You're all equal. And that was such an important issue. And so what became a very hard task became a labor of love. And frankly, and I'm going to tell you this with all sincerity in my heart, it's being with you all was a major reason I ran the last time. It was important to me that this work be carried on. So that's why I really ran. So what have we been able to do? Things that are remarkable together. One, you saw the $900 million, but it's well over $1 billion when you throw in how we coordinated with one another, we worked with one another, well in the billions of dollars. We developed the first MSTIP proposal. You needed to do that with us. We couldn't have passed the county. We had a name the pothole contest. I mean, it was terrible. The roads were horrible, and the city stepped up and said, we'll support it. It's only through your efforts that we have an MSTIP. It's only through your efforts that we got a TIF. And that, of course, was, as was indicated, that was superseded by the TDT. We did I said to Stephen earlier, I think it was a 2-day, but now I remember it was a day and a half, one full day and a half a day, getting together as a group to establish a county street program. Never been done. It's still never been done in any county. And it was only because you all had faith that it was could be done. So there are many firsts. What you've collectively done has been remarkable. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what has been done. And I think it's not normal. You take it as normal, but it is not normal. So I want to thank the past commissions, my commissioners. They had faith in me over the years and said, keep in there, keep up that spirit of trying to work effectively with our cities. I want to thank them. I want to thank people that you may probably not even know in your cities, but your past mayors. They were titans. I was privileged and honored and just grateful to work with them. I want to thank you current mayors. You folks are you're remarkable people. You represent your communities with distinction and pride. And I couldn't be happier to work with you. It's just been a great experience. And I want to thank our LUT staff. It's not easy for Stephen and Chris to do the kind of work that they do. I think, Stephen, you're my fifth or sixth person that I've worked with in that role. All of you have been intuitive and genius and been willing to do all the work that needs to be done. So I couldn't be more honored. It's been my privilege not only to serve with this group, but with you as well. So what do I hope for the future? I hope, as I listened this weekend in 9/11 and 20 years later, I hope in 20 years, though I have to profess that I may not be here to even see this, I hope that this group is still a group. I still hope that you're together. I suspect many of you won't be in your roles, but I hope 20 years there is a WCCC. I hope the county respects the value of our partnership. I've never called you a committee, other than that's what the name is, but I've always said that we're partners, and I hope that the county respects that and doesn't try to minimize your role, because they don't have a program without you. They couldn't have gotten one without you. I hope that the large cities respect the small cities and don't try to minimize their roles. Whether you're from down in my neck of the woods, whether you're from Durham or whether you're from Tigard or Tualatin, which are bigger, I hope that they always respect that those cities have a voice. You have one vote. Everybody has one vote. It's like the U.S. Senate on so two, we got one. So I hope that the large cities respect that, and I hope the small cities recognize and continue to recognize the needs of the larger cities, because they have needs, and you can't be myopic and say, well, I don't understand and respect that. So I hope it happens. And I hope that you really understand how powerful you are in speaking with one voice in the region and the state and the federal level. My remembrances of going to DC and I never led the delegation. I simply was maybe introducing it, but we had with Jeff, you always had Pete. There were a lot of times wonderful comments that you all had with experiences. And I'm going to miss that. That was so great. So I'll stop. You gave me more time than I deserve and should take, but I am so honored to work with all of you. It's really one of the highlights of my political career. And so I'll move off knowing that you all are a lot smarter, brighter, and faster than I am, and just carry on the good work and don't ever believe you're less than you are. You're powerful together, and I hope you remain that way. So thank you, Stephen, for allowing me to say a couple of things from my heart.
Yeah, no, of course, and we appreciate you staying on to do this too. So kind of an important occasion, I think. So and so I guess with that, we can just open the floor if there are folks that would like to say something. Maybe if you raise your hand, and then we'll try to see if we can catch people in a semblance of order. And then I know we have a few folks in our attendees as well, and so I think if there were folks there that are potentially interested in being able to say something, if you want to raise your hands as well, and then we'll see if we can work a few in if we have time there as well. And so I saw Mayor Snyder, and I believe, yeah, Mayor Snyder. Okay. Whoa, we got a whole bunch here. So maybe I'll just go in the order you're on my screen. I saw Mayor Snyder first.
So Commissioner Rogers, thank you for your time with the WCCC. And it's interesting, I had already prepared what I was going to say, and some of it had to do with your being a tireless advocate for cities. And I think that's really recognized. I didn't know the history entirely of that until you just shared it as to why that may be. But it didn't go unnoticed. And I expect that you'll continue to do that in your role as a commissioner, but it really showed in the transportation work. And, you know, you're kind of known around the region as Mr. Transportation, and there's a reason for that. If someone wants to know the history of a project or why something's the way it is, or how this works or that works, or what happened in, you know, 1996, you're the person to go to. And the fact that you've been doing this since, you know, since I was a fifth grader, just on the WCCC, and I'm now middle-aged or old, according to many people. You know, just I guess I think about how long you've spent time dedicated to this, and I just appreciate it. And I think everyone in our region is better for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason. That's very kind of you.
And I think I see Mayor Callaway might have been next. Oh, I think you're muted, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Roy, the nice thing about speaking second is that I'm not repeating everything everybody else has said, you know, because I think you'll hear very common themes from all of us. But one thing which has always stuck out to me is your comment, which I've heard you make, and that is, we as a county, we didn't get here by accident. And it is not accidental that we are in just the strong position that we are, that we have the strong relationships that we do, that we have, you know, the strong respect amongst WCCC, albeit times that we are irreverent, you know, with each other. None of that is by accident. And that all goes back to your leadership. And so thank you very much for your purposeful, deliberate, thoughtful, strategic leadership. We know that you haven't accomplished it all by yourself, as you have mentioned. You know, you've had great mayors and great commissioners, and especially great county staff to work with. But it is our responsibility now to make sure that as we move forward, that there are no accidents, that we continue to, you know, move forward with the ethics, you know, and the integrity with which you have operated and led. And we expect that if we don't, you'll be picking up the phone to tell us to fix it and to get it right. So thank you for your partnership and your friendship.
Oh, thank you, Steve. That's so nice. Thank you.
Lost my mute button. And Mayor Truax, I think, next.
Thank you very much, Steve and Commissioner. I think the first or second meeting of WCCC after I was appointed mayor, there was a conversation about streets and roads, obviously in Washington County, and Roy Rogers Road came up in the conversation. And I was feeling a little frisky that day, and I said, Roy, we can only name so many roads after you. And there was a bit of laughter in that, and I said, I hope I haven't overstepped anything. And apparently I haven't, because I remember the various trips back to Washington, D.C. with JPAC, and how you sort of guided me through some of those conversations, making sure that I was included in the conversations with the representatives and the senators and their staff, so there was so that I truly felt part of the team. You did that with every mayor that made the trip with you back to Washington, D.C., whether it was a small city, a large city, or a wide spot in the side of the road. You made those people feel important because they were important, and they are important. And they're important because of people like you. Thanks again.
Thank you, Pete. That was very nice remarks. And I'm going to miss your ribbing. You ribbed me a lot, and I deserve it, and I appreciate it, and all your leadership there as well.
Yeah, you probably have a few bruises in the ribs, don't you?
A little bit.
A little bit. All right. And then Mayor Mays, I think you were next.
Thanks, Steve. Roy, I was just thinking back when I first got elected 20 years ago. Incoming Mayor Cottle, who had been serving on the WCCC, said, Keith, you need to start going to these meetings. And I go, what meeting is there that? He goes, just show up listen to Roy and don't screw it up. And if you have questions, ask Roy. And that's literally all I knew at the beginning. But there was a lot of truth to that, because at that point you'd been doing this for 16 years and you'd helped bring the county and all the cities together on transportation and this unique thing that we have. And it has been a sincere pleasure working with you for most of the last 20 years. I had a little bit of a gap in there, but to see what we've been able to accomplish together is really remarkable. And we are the envy in the state of Oregon when it comes to transportation. And you played a big role in help bringing us together. As some say, before I was out of school, and have continued to keep us on track, work together, realize that we all have different needs, but a shared goal in how to use these dollars that come from our communities in a responsible, thoughtful way, to be able to support our families and businesses the way that we have, that other counties have not been able to figure out to do. So you have many, many, many friends and those that appreciate and honor you for what you've done for our county, for our cities, for our families and businesses. And cannot thank you enough for your tireless, selfless efforts as part of leading this ragtag group of city officials the last 36 years. So thank you, Roy.
Thank you, Keith. That's nice of you.
Thank you. And Jeff, I see you're there next, but I think I'm going to cycle through our elected officials first, if that's all right. So Mayor Linehan.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. Roy, when I came on as an elected 13 years ago, I had no clue about WCCC at all. And I remember my predecessor saying, again, you've got to get dialed into what's going on in Washington County and the transportation issues and all of the above. And without him pushing me in that direction, I would not have met you. Another way that I did meet you was through our auditing budgeting cycle. And your company was also a part of North Plains audit process. And so it's another way that I got to know your organization. But more importantly, I think just sitting here on this with this ragtag group, as Mayor Mays called us, which I love, your leadership, your steady, calm approach to the issues that we all face has just been, I mean, it's phenomenal. You have a great disposition about you, and I really appreciate that you champion for not just the larger cities, but even those smaller cities, Banks, North Plains, Durham. And I just really, I'm going to miss you. Obviously this is not bye. You're going to be around, and I suspect that if we have questions or concerns, or we need a little bit more information or history, we're going to pick up the phone and call you. And so I would just certainly expect calls from all of your friends here on this call. But thanks again for your steady hand, your calm nature, and your leadership. I greatly appreciate, and I'm glad that I got to meet you.
Jerry, thank you. That's very kind.
Great. Mayor Gibson.
Okay, let's see. Roy, well, you mentioned the height of these two new leaders that are coming in, Jeff and Frank. But as far as I'm concerned, your stature is probably right there with him. You have just stood up for all of us. You've made me understand how important it is to be partners. And that's the way you've presented yourself to me and to King City and to the rest of us. We know how important it is for us all to work together, and you have been the glue that held all that together. And I truly appreciate it. You know, you have always come to me to give me a heads up on things that are coming our way, you know, whether you had to or not. But it just always left me feeling that you appreciate your role and how you support us as mayors. And my job wouldn't be as good as it's been without you. So I appreciate you and I thank you for all of your years of experience and support to all of us as mayors and especially me. So thank you, Roy.
You can.
And forthcoming chair, Delin.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
Well, as a young high school driver in 1986, I remember the Washington County roads were a joke in the Tri-County area. I remember avoiding potholes in front of St. Mary's on Murray at the intersection of Murray and DV Highway that you could lose a wheel into. That's how bad it was when Roy came into this auspicious area. I would say that I've only had I've been elected now for 18 years, and very soon after being elected, I won the opportunity from the mayor to be appointed to go represent our city at Washington County Coordinating Committee, and started working with Roy at that point. So that's why Roy and I have so many memories together. We've been working together for almost 20 years, at least 18. And, you know, we've been through some interesting workshops and work groups. And well, I remember you talking about the streets of significance and the meetings we had on those, and rolling out big maps on the table and looking at what they were, and, you know, things like that. So I just want to thank you. You know what? None of us have, because they didn't record those meetings on Super 8 with a handheld cassette recorder when Roy first started them. I gotta wonder, you know, was there some knocking heads? Was Roy in there really just, you know, because you see him in such a calm and cool and even tempered demeanor now. And, you know, I don't think I wasn't as calm and cool now as I was, you know, now. I wasn't like this 20 years ago. So I'm trying to think of Roy as this firebrand, you know, 36 years ago, trying to pull that original ragtag of people together that, you know, didn't want to talk to each other, and South County hated West County, and on and on it went. I can only imagine what those must be, and how fortunate I am to inherit a group that does handle each other with professional dignity and respect. And that I see that my job going forward is to make sure this group continues to pull together and not apart, because that is the hallmark that I had the opportunity to jump into, is this group that was just, even if they didn't always agree, they argued to come an agreement on what they could, and then they worked and pulled their hardest in that direction. And I remember that the discussions around the TIF to TDT, oh, there were some warm afternoon meetings there, trying to get to the measures. Yeah, Keith remembers some of those. I think you were around when we did that conversion, when your last time through this chair position, so as mayor. So I can only hope to be as calming and cooling effect, and as well at communicating out. You know, I think what, you know, Ken said about you knowing the times to reach out to people, right? You're seeing something going on at the county. That's the part that's going to be hard for Frank and I, right? Is because we just aren't as dialed in. I think we're still going to depend on the county staff or the county commissioners to reach out to us on, hey, you know, and that's something we've always enjoyed, is you know, even in our, you know, meetings with the chairs, the years that we've had meetings with the chairs, you were always somebody that made sure we got the right information. So I couldn't pass one more opportunity, though, to say it's been great to work with you, Papa Smurf, and I'm really, really gonna miss giving you a hard time in front of all these people, especially now that we're on the internet and it's so widely publicized, and that now no one will be able to look at you without thinking about Papa Smurf, especially since you chose such a good shirt for today.
Oh, thanks.
I will really miss this time with you, Roy, and I will, as we discussed, we will be having one-on-ones because we will miss this time normally together. Thank you for all you've done.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Anything I can do to help. I mean, you're going to take it well beyond where I ever went, but I stood on the shoulders of former mayors, and I'm pleased that mayors are taking this over. It's great. I'm delighted.
All right, and I see Mayor Sherrato, I think, is next.
Roy, I think everybody so far has told you what's in our hearts and heads with regard to our feelings of admiration, respect, and affiliation with you for the years of your dedication and devotion to first Tualatin and to the county. But I wanted to specifically let you know that I have personally appreciated your sentiment expressed a couple times. You probably never thought that I noticed about your feelings for Durham. And I want you to know that I've appreciated all those little sidebars that you've said about our beautiful little city here. They haven't gone unnoticed nor unappreciated. And I look forward at least to being able to spend time with you, if not in the car going to the Act One meetings now anymore, but at least together as we will be this evening at Act, and look forward to being able to get back and having that in-time personal space together. So thank you again, Roy, both for myself personally and for the city of Durham and what you've done also for Washington County. And I want to also make mention, I'm not sure if it was Mayor Callaway who brought this up, but I think all of us in this group know, acknowledge, and appreciate one another more than any other group of mayors that I have been in contact with in the state of Oregon. And I think we've all contributed, our predecessors have contributed, and you have been a significant contributor building that rapport and that feeling that we have in Washington County for one another. And that alone, I think, deserves all of our respect and admiration. So thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you've done for Washington County.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gary, you and I will get many more times. I'm still on ODOT for a while, and so we'll have those trips. And I appreciated your always standing up mightily for your city. You've done a great job, as the other mayors have done too. But I've always enjoyed it. We'll have more time.
All right, and Mayor Bubenik.
Well, Roy, thank you for your years of service, both to the county and to the city of Tualatin. Back when I was a wee counselor, you were well known to be along with Mayor Ogden, the dynamic duo of taking care of this part of the county. You're both long timers, and you transformed the road systems in and around this side of the county, which is much appreciated. When I did my transition breakfast with Mayor Ogden, he, like other people have mentioned, he sang your praises and said, I had to meet you, I had to get better knowledge about you and work with you to the betterment of Tualatin in the years to come. And I don't know if you remember, you, I, and your wife met at a Hops game.
Yeah,
and host a game, and that's the first time you and I really chatted, and we learned a lot about each other that day. And I very much appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, and I've enjoyed the 3 years working with you. And I know in your heart of hearts you still take care of Tualatin and have a special eye for it. So I'll be always open to hearing your insight about what's going on in this city, and looking for your opinion and your anything you can do to help me out with the city and help Jeff and I with some of that insider knowledge, like you mentioned. I think when we had our last lunch about that road project that no one ever heard of, but that you knew about. Was it Southwest 87th, the service road that I had to dust off and ask staff about? So all that history is in your head. So I have no qualms on tapping that information when I need it. So thank you very much for everything you've done for helping me come up to speed as a mayor and for what you've done for Tualatin and the
Thank
county.
you. Thank you, Frank. That's very great, gracious of you. And I look forward to working with you. That 87 is a great project. You need to look at that.
I actually am. Charlotte's scratching her head too.
Good, good. It's a good one.
That was one, yeah. That was one none of us here at the county remembered either. So that's good. So I think we've been through our most of our elected officials. Councilor Rosenthal, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, or I know we have a couple TriMet staff folks, and I might let them arm wrestle over who wants to go first. Go ahead, Councilor Rosenthal.
Yeah, I just say a brief word. I haven't had too much opportunity to work with Commissioner Rogers. We had some nice conversations and chats, and I appreciate his long-standing dedication to the county, and particularly, as many of you have testified, to bringing the cities together and creating a sort of a sense of we're all in it together and we're all working together to try and resolve regional transportation issues. I think that's been very important, and I'm sorry that he's not going to be, on WCCC. And at any rate, appreciate having gotten to know him, at least to some extent. Wish I'd had more opportunity to work with him.
Well, that's kind, Jared. Thank you.
All right, yeah, TriMet folks, you want to?
Yeah, I'll be very brief and hand it over to Tom, but thank you, Commissioner Rogers, for just so many years of service and leadership. Folks at TriMet and all around the region are just very appreciative of all of your service. So I'll just pass the mic over to Tom, but thank you so much.
Commissioner, the terrifying thing for me looking at all these people on the Zoom call is that I think I have worked with you longer than any of them.
I think that's true.
And which means I am getting so old.
Oh.
I started working with you when I was in Congress, working for a congressman, right. And my job was to manage all these JPAC people. I was the designated congressional herder for everybody. And that's when I first got to know you, and what a pleasure that was. I will never forget discovering what a regionalist you were. And you and I were on the mall, and we were walking to some office, and you talked to me about what's good for Gresham is good for Tualatin, and what's good for Hillsborough is good for Oregon City. You wanted everybody to succeed, and that was really evident. And when I worked for TriMet and started putting those trips together, it was still clear you were there supporting the region. It wasn't just Washington County, it was everybody. And that made a difference. You were a real elder statesman. When we were trying to put together the deal with Southwest Corridor, and we would get into a jam, we would turn to you and your elected leadership and other elected leaders. And you didn't know this, but we called you guys Roy's Rangers. And we called you Roy's Rangers because you always came to the rescue. And you helped us all see clearer and work together a lot better. You were a friend of transit. And I sure am proud that you are a friend of mine and a friend of TriMet's. Thank you, sir.
Tom, thank you. Those are really, really nice remarks. And I remember all those days working with Earl and everyone else. And what's a little tough for me is I'm looking at a man who's a little older than I used to remember him in Earl's office a few years back. You've aged just slightly, maybe not as much as me, but just slightly.
I need hair dye, Commissioner.
I would have to buy it by the barrel, and I'd look pretty funny. I don't have enough hair to put it in anymore.
Right.
Tom, thanks for all the years. Yeah.
And so we're just about out of time, and I know Chris would like to say a quick something, but I'd like to, if I could, before we lose anyone, can we take a couple of screenshots? I think Michael is queued up and ready to go, so maybe we can do, maybe a thumbs up or something. And
thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. And then, Chris, did you want to say a little something?
just quickly, Commissioner Rogers, as staff to Washington County Coordinating Committee, I just want to add my thanks to Stephen about how great it's been to work with you. And I also wanted to share the perspective that not everyone may have about how successful, how important it is to have that coordinated county city vote at the regional tables, and how important that is. I know we do bury a lot of regional topics on our agenda, statewide, regional, but it is important. They're important to the county, and the voice of Washington County Coordinating Committee has a really important role on state issues and regional issues. And I really personally want to thank you for having steered and created this committee. And to the rest of you, look forward to continuing this strong city-county partnership, which is so important.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure working with you. It really has.
Oops. My apologies. I lost you guys under another window. So without any parting comments or anything else to say, I appreciate everyone sticking around. We certainly thank you for giving us the extra 30 minutes today and taking a few moments to recognize Commissioner Rogers on the WCCC.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank all of you.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roy.